I'm Mark Broom. Let's start by taking a look at the day's headlines. With the termination of Seoul's military intel sharing pact with Tokyo a matter of 48 hours away, South Korea's top national security aides will discuss the next steps. The US is keeping the heat on for a last-minute change of heart. North Korea reiterates its call that the US must drop its hostile policies towards the regime if it wants more nuclear talks. Washington's point man on North Korea says the window of opportunity for diplomacy is still there, but admits it might be closing. Plus, more drama in Washington as the impeachment inquiry hearings against President Trump rumble on in Congress. We have the latest from The Hill. Our top story this morning, the Blue House will hold its regular National Security Council Standing Committee meeting today, with discussions focusing on the fate of South Korea's military intelligence sharing pact with Japan. The Council is likely to stick to its decision to let the GSOMIA deal expire as scheduled on Saturday, unless there's a last-minute change in Japan's attitude over its export curbs on South Korea. The Council is also likely to discuss the details of Deputy National Security Advisor Kim Hyun-jong's unannounced trip to Washington this week. Kim is believed to have reiterated Seoul's stance on GSOMIA and the sharing of costs for maintaining American troops in South Korea. Now, one of North Korea's top diplomats, who's currently in Russia, has reiterated that Pyongyang has zero interest in holding a summit with President Trump. That is, until Washington ends its, quote, hostile policy against the regime. Lee Seung-jae with the details.
North Korea's Vice Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee spoke to reporters Wednesday after meeting Russian officials in Moscow. She said it would be impossible to hold another summit between the leaders of North Korea and the United States if President Trump maintains his current stance towards the North. According to Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency, Choi called on the U.S. to withdraw all of its hostile policy against the regime if it wishes to continue negotiations and discuss nuclear issues again. While Choi nor any other North Korean official has specified what constitutes hostile policy, Pyongyang's foreign ministry has labeled a recent UN resolution on its human rights abuses as a US-led political provocation. The regime has also called for an end to joint military drills with Seoul, as well as the lifting of economic sanctions. Meanwhile, speaking to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on Wednesday, U.S. Special Representative on North Korea Stephen Biegun called on North Korea to seize the moment, saying the window is still open, and adding the North should not miss this opportunity. However, Biegun says there's a possibility Pyongyang could be going back to more provocative steps that preceded the start of the diplomacy between the two sides. While the U.S. envoy reiterated that the U.S. will try to resolve the North Korea issue for as long as it takes, Biegun says such a decision by Pyongyang would be a huge mistake. Despite the North's reminder of the year-end deadline, Biegun says the U.S. does not view it as such, calling it an artificial deadline set by the regime and a deadline they've set upon themselves. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The floor leaders of South Korea's three largest political parties are in Washington as we speak to deliver their message on defense, cost sharing, and this big issue surrounding it. Upon his arrival, ruling Democratic Party floor leader Lee In-young said he will deliver the National Assembly's stance to Congress, which is that the costs should be shared fairly based on mutual respect and trust. Main opposition Liberty Korea Party floor leader Na Kyung-won pledged to explain the importance of maintaining a strong U.S. troop presence in South Korea. Bareunmirae Party floor leader Oh Shin-hwan vowed to deliver South Korea's stance, adding they will also discuss Seoul's soon-to-be terminated intel sharing pact with Japan. Japan's exports to South Korea dropped sharply last month amid escalating tensions between the two nations. Tokyo's finance ministry says Japan's shipments to South Korea in October were down some 23% on year to around $3.5 billion US. In particular, food, automobiles and semiconductors saw large declines. Experts say that exports fallen because mainly due to the boycott here of Japanese goods stemming from Tokyo's trade restrictions as well as historical disputes. Japan saw its trade surplus with South Korea tumble by more than 41% on year last month. New research shows China is responsible for around 1/3 of the ultrafine dust that chokes most of South Korea on certain days, and up to 70% when concentrations are particularly high. Lee Kyung-eun reports.
32% of Korea's ultrafine dust originates from China, while 50% is generated domestically. This is according to a joint study by Korea, China, and Japan, which analyzed the source and amount of pollutants smaller than 2.5 micrometers or ultrafine particles in the three countries between 2013 and 2017. The study is part of a border project known as Long-Range Transboundary Air Pollutants in Northeast Asia, which was launched in 1996 to improve regional air quality. The research breaks down the origins of the three countries' annual average concentration of ultrafine dust into two factors, internal and external. Korea, China, and Japan were responsible for 51%, 91%, and 55% respectively for their own pollution. China was also a major external contributor of pollutants among the three countries. China generates 32% of Korea's ultrafine dust and 25% of Japan's. In a sharp contrast, Korea's impact on these neighboring countries was notably low, contributing with only 2% to China's pollution and 8% over in Japan. Beijing's contribution becomes even greater between December and March. The publisher of the study, Korea's National Institute of Environmental Research, had previously said that China attributes a staggering 70 to 80% of Korea's ultrafine dust pollution during those months. The joint research also showed improving figures. The annual concentration of pollutants between 2015 and 2018 declined in all three countries, with Korea by 12% and China by 22%. Another takeaway from the research is that China now officially admits its contribution to regional air pollution. However, experts say there is still more to do regarding air quality, such as further slashing exhaust gas emissions both domestically and across the region. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
Now, as a follow-up to that report, South Korea is to reduce its operation of coal power plants as much as possible this winter. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, Song-Yoon Mo, announced on Thursday that measures will be taken to reduce power generation from coal plants by up to 20%. He added that thorough preparation is needed in order to make sure power supply is not disrupted, though. This comes as part of the National Special Measures to Tackle Fine Dust, released earlier this month. It's the first time South Korea is reducing coal power operation in the winter season. So there are just a matter of days before the big meetings in Busan, and today is part 4 of our special 5-part series ahead of the ASEAN meetings taking place in the southern port city early next week. So we thought we'd take a closer look at the economic bloc formed around the Mekong River in particular. The 5 countries that the world-famous river runs through are being looked at yet again as very attractive markets with extreme potential in the years to come. Lee Min-sun reports.
The almost 5,000-kilometer long Mekong River that runs through the Indochina Peninsula connects 5 ASEAN countries physically and economically. Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam are home to 243 million people, many of whom make a living from fishery and agriculture. The region is largely dependent on resources from the Mekong River. In 2018, those 5 Mekong countries produced over 111 million tons of rice, which accounts for over 15% of the world's total rice production.
even if a large part of their economy is still agro-based economies, but nevertheless, some of the countries of Mekong region have shown a remarkable growth in the manufacturing sectors of their economies.
The total GDP for the 5 countries in the Mekong region amounts to $866 billion as of 2018. These regions are also drawing international investors' eyes with a strong economic growth outlook. According to the International Monetary Fund, as of 2018, the economic growth forecast for Cambodia and Vietnam was over 7%, with Laos and Myanmar also expected to grow by over 6%.
If you look at the average economic growth rate of the whole world, which is at 3%, and also if you look at the ASEAN, whose annual growth rate on average is 5%, this 7% might be called phenomenal.
In addition, the region's abundant natural resources and young labor force also make the Mekong region an attractive emerging market. Thailand's median average age is 38, Vietnam's is just 30, and the average age is even lower at 27 in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. The region has huge development potential in hydropower, timber, mineral resources, and natural gas. The Mekong region also holds geopolitical importance as it borders both India and China, attracting large economic powers such as the US, Japan, and China to build and strengthen ties with the region in an effort to further promote their own Indo-Pacific strategies. 이민선, 아리랑 뉴스.
Busan, the host city for the highly anticipated ASEAN meetings, is gearing up to welcome participants to the summit. It won't just be VVIPs, but also there'll be a resulting surge in related visitors. So what kind of experience can they expect while they're in Busan? Our chair, Jong Yoon, gives us a brief rundown of what there is in what is one of South Korea's best-loved cities.
Situated in the southeast corner of South Korea, Busan is a vibrant port city which also has plenty of places to relax and enjoy the seaside landscape. For a peaceful morning by the sea, visit Haedong Yonggung Temple, built more than 600 years ago. Greeted by a row of 12 zodiac animals, visitors can marvel at one of the country's only temples that overlooks the ocean, as most of the temples are up in the mountains. If you love walking along the sea, round off your day with some natural scenery and fresh sea air by trekking along Igide Park to Oryukdo Skywalk.
Built in an area between the East and South Seas, the Oryukdo Skywalk offers stunning views of 5 different islets. The 50-meter-long glass bridge also gives visitors the thrilling experiences of being able to walk 35 meters above the cliffs and crashing waves.
Gwanghwaneoli Beach rivals Haeundae in popularity, but has more of a relaxed city by the sea vibe with a view of Busan's landmark Gwanghwanedaegu Bridge. Just a 15-minute walk from the beach is Millak Raw Fish Market, where locals get the freshest and cheapest raw fish.
Fishermen bring fish directly from the sea and sell them here. With a simpler distribution process and running ocean water in the tank, the fish are cheap, chewy, and tasty.
It's no exaggeration to say some people come to Busan for the food alone. With local specialties abound, lively markets offer a chance to try some great street food. At Tinken Market, visitors can enjoy yubu pocket, a winter favorite with glass noodles and thinly sliced vegetables. You can also beat away the chills with Busan specialty omuk or fish cakes along with some spicy rice cake tteokbokki. As you bite into the siatotteok or see pancake at the nearby beef square, pumpkin, sunflower, and sesame seeds covered in cinnamon sugar ooze out from the crispy dough.
We enjoy the street food very much. There's a lot of variety and every one of it is very delicious.
Nearby is Gukje Market with vintage clothing and traditional items, as well as Jagalchi Fish Market where you can try various types of grilled fish. As the sun goes down, the Bay 101 attracts tourists with its cafes and restaurants, which have unbelievable views of the skyscrapers across the water in Haeundae District. The perfect place to relax at the end of the day. Choi Jung-yoon, Arirang News, Busan.
Now, following a jam-packed day of testimonies on Tuesday, more hearings have been taking place in Washington in the impeachment hearing against US President Donald Trump. They've just wrapped up for the day. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Kim Dami. So Dami, fill us in what we heard from Congress today.
Right, Mark, another bombshell testimony on Wednesday, this time from the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland. He testified that there indeed was a quid pro quo as desired by President Trump via his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani.
Mr. Giuliani's requests were a quid pro quo for arranging a White House visit for President Zelensky. Mr. Giuliani demanded that Ukraine make a public statement announcing the investigations of the 2016 election, DNC server, and Burisma.
Sondland donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration committee and helped reach out to Ukraine on President Trump's behalf. So his testimony is being viewed by Democrats as a big blow to the Republicans. Sondland further added that he worked with Giuliani on Ukraine issues on the president's orders. Outside the White House, President Trump hit back, reading out a handwritten note insisting he never requested a quid pro quo.
I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky, President Zelensky, to do the right thing. So here's my tremendous amount of money.
President Trump declared he was vindicated, adding he would say it means the impeachment inquiry is dead in the water. He also sought to downplay his personal relationship with Sondland, saying he didn't know him very well, but he was a nice guy. Regarding the recent merger of the Lion Corporation and Yahoo's Z Holdings, Japan's Fair Trade Commission has hinted at the possibility of judging management integration at a global level, not Japan's. According to Japan's Yomiuri Shimbun on Wednesday, the Commission's Secretary General Akinori Yamada said the merger of two Japanese companies doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a Japanese-only transaction. Japan's Kyodo News reported that Yamada said the decision will be made based on the benefits that customers can get from the merger. Lion Corporation, an affiliate of the South Korea internet portal Naver, announced a merger with the parent company of Yahoo Japan on Monday. After almost half a year, some Huawei suppliers are starting to get U.S. approval to restart sales to the blacklisted firm. The U.S. Commerce Department announced on Wednesday that it has started issuing licenses for some companies to supply goods to the Chinese tech giant. Companies began receiving notices of approval and intend to deny. It wasn't immediately known which products have been approved, but the partial sanction lift relieves concerns of American companies who made billions of dollars in sales to Huawei last year. The latest move comes as the U.S. and China seek to close a partial trade deal.
Shifting gears now, South Korea's capital city has opened its first pop-up store, selling Seoul souvenirs and various other eye-catching local products. Better yet, the merchandise on sale at this pop-up store is made by small and mid-sized companies as well. Ji-young reports.
The Seoul Partners pop-up store has opened near Hongdae, a university neighborhood popular with young people and tourists. In making products to sell there, the city says it worked with 17 local small and medium-sized companies.
Through this event, the city hopes to promote the Seoul brand. This pop-up store is meaningful because the city of Seoul and small and medium-sized firms are working together to create value. I'm expecting about 3,000 customers to come to the store in the next 12 days.
The store has more than 95 kinds of merchandise. The products are classified into 3 sections: Kind Seoul with products reflecting eco-friendly values, Cool Seoul with fashionable goods, and Pleasant Seoul featuring decorative items. The Kind Seoul section has locally designed bags made of recycled thread and keyrings featuring endangered animals. In the Cool Seoul section, there are fashion items such as iSeoul t-shirts, hoodies with pictures of Seoul, and products imprinted with the Korean alphabet Hangul. In the Pleasant Seoul section, there are coloring books featuring scenic views of the city and socks representing its tourist attractions.
To promote this pop-up stores, busking performances from magic shows to dance routines will be held while the store is open.
Even better, if customers bring the brochure they got from the busking show, they can get special perks, including discounts. Also, shoppers have a chance to get free gifts when they post about the store online. This pop-up store in Hongdae will be open until the 1st of next month. Ji-young, Arirang News.
Now, developers here in South Korea have come up with a new AI-based program that recommends food pairings. It should come in handy for people who struggle frequently to knock something up even half decent in the kitchen, and those of you looking for fresh ideas, perhaps, to prepare some delicious new meals. Jo Sung-min reports.
Researchers at Korea University developed an AI program that matches any ingredient with its best possible pairing. Renowned food researcher Han Myung-suk, who has been coming up with an array of fusion Korean dishes for the past 30 years, said the program could give her a lesson or two when it comes to finding food combos that stick better to the palate.
People are interested in coming up with their original recipes. Although I have cooked for a very long time, I still feel the need to study new cooking methods.
Developers say 1 million pairings are stored in the program's archive. Its user-friendly interface allows anyone to use the program with ease right off the start. If a user wants to use red wine while cooking, all he or she must do is type in red wine. Then the program lays out its top 50 list of dishes that require the drink as an ingredient and dishes that go well with it.
After analyzing 1 million recipes, we found out Koreans use nearly 3,500 ingredients on average. So we made a list with all the ingredients in the order of how compatible each of them are to others.
What makes the program nifty is its feature that recommends pairings that are rarely used in the kitchen but still work. Using these unconventional combos, the program provides more room for creating new recipes for people to try out and enjoy. Jo Sung-min, Arirang News.
Good morning. It's another cold start to the day with gusty winds, but fortunately, some warmth is on the way. Thanks to mild westerly winds, the cold will ease from this afternoon, and it's going to be a lot milder tomorrow. For today, highs will be higher for many regions, but dress in layers as there will be differences between lows and highs of nearly 10 to 15 degrees Celsius in most parts of the country. Southern regions will see highs in the mid to upper teens this afternoon, and there will be a fair amount of sunshine with good to normal air quality. Meanwhile, we have dry weather in mountainous regions in Gangwon-do province with dry weather alerts in place. There will not be another major cold snap for a while, but rain is in the forecast nationwide for Sunday, while Jeju and Chungcheong-pukto province will see a mix of rain and snow early next week. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all we have for now on this Thursday morning here in Seoul. Stay tuned to Arirang TV, and we'll have our next newscast. That's at noon Korea time in around an hour and a half from now. So until then, goodbye.
As a well-known staple in Korean cuisine, kimchi is a traditional side dish that many Koreans consider a comfort food. Because of its delicious taste and health benefits, it has gained worldwide popularity in recent decades. There is one important tradition concerning this addictive side dish, and it is none other than kimjang. In the past, Koreans made enormous amounts of kimchi to be stored and eaten across the winter season. And this practice of making large amounts of kimchi is kimjang. You could say kimjang is kind of like a major family event or festivity. Since the purpose is to make food that will last an entire season, people prepare the necessary ingredients over the year, like red pepper, powder, cabbage and salted fish. And kimchi is made together with one's entire family or with the neighbors even. This practice of making kimchi together